So again, talking about my mum, when me and my brother were younger, my mum used to sit down and tell us stories about my dad and what he was like, and he was abusive and used to beat my mum up apparently. I don't remember him. He left when I was 3 and my brother would have been 5, maybe slightly younger. Maybe we were slightly younger. And she said that I was a twin, but that my twin had died. Said that he'd burnt my brother in his cot, he'd thrown me out of a window. I mean, I've got sort of scars here on my eyebrows and one here, so maybe that was true. But yeah, he moved away to Norway and I never met him. Remarried, had 3 children. But I'll go on about that in another video. So yeah, my mum used to tell me and my brother all sorts of things. We'd sit down and go, tell us about our dad, tell us about our dad. So she said, yeah, I was a twin, that my twin had died. So I always felt like a connection with said twin. Excuse my cat meowing. Yeah, so when I was 21, she rang me up and she said, "Are you sitting down?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's the problem?" Well, it wasn't like that. Yeah, I'm sitting down. And she said, "You weren't a twin, and I don't know if your dad is your dad." So that was a shock, because I'd spent so much of my time feeling a spiritual connection with a twin that didn't exist. And then going back when I was 14, I'd come home from school and my mum was in the living room and she was crying. I was like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And she just said, "I never wanted you." And she said that she tried to unalive me while she was pregnant with me. It didn't work. My dad didn't want me either. He'd tried beating her up to, miscarry me. That didn't work. So yeah, from both sides, from my mum and my dad, I wasn't wanted. And I suppose my mum kind of confirmed that by the way she treated me growing up. And then when I left home, she did very little to stay in contact. In fact, I remember ringing her up and saying, can we go out this week? Could I see you? And she just said, "I'm busy." What about Thursday? "I'm busy." What about next week? "I'm busy." And she was always very, "I'm busy." It's like when I was hairdressing. I started out hairdressing and didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. And I had the chance to have a model in so that I could cut somebody's hair or blow dry someone's hair. So I asked my mum and she just said, "I've got a hairdresser, thank you." It's so unsupportive, and it kind of takes me back to when I was trying to find out what career I wanted to do. I really wanted to be a nursery nurse. And she said, "Oh, you won't like that. It's, you'll just see lots of babies unaliving." So that put me off, and I just didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. But anyway, I digress. So basically, what I found out later on was that my mum, after she had me, she'd retained a bit of the placenta, and but it wasn't discovered for some unknown reason. But she became pregnant with my stepdad's child, and unfortunately, she miscarried. And it turned out that she'd had an infection, and it was because she'd retained the placenta from me. And I remember her coming out one day of the bedroom when I was about 3, and she just said, "It's all your fault." And I just remember looking up her and just not really understanding. And then there was another day, again, bearing in mind I was only 3, she was screaming in the bedroom, and then it turned out that she was holding the ghost of the dead baby, which now I know was my stepdad's. But yeah, the fact that my mum has very little to do with me and my stepdad is very cold towards me. I don't know if he's like it towards everyone, but there's just something that I just can't put my finger on with them. And then I've spent all of my life just feeling that I'm not wanted. Which hasn't helped because I've got ADHD. So yeah, I kind of wanted to share that really. I just don't know how a mum could treat a child like that. I think I just wish that she'd have put me up for adoption, basically. But then I might have got someone worse.